Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Day 23 of Diddy's federal sex trafficking trial. Kanye West's enigmatic cameo, a mansion raid, and a web of alleged crime. The sun hung low over New York City, casting long shadows across the federal courthouse steps as a crowd of reporters, onlookers, and curious passers-by buzzed with anticipation. It was day 23 of Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial, a legal spectacle that had already captivated the nation with its cocktail of celebrity scandal, lurid allegations, and high-stakes drama. Suddenly, a sleek black Maybach, its chrome rims glinting like a predator's eyes, glided to the curb, silencing the chatter. The tinted windows parted just enough to reveal Kanye West, now legally known as Ye, stepping out in a pristine, all-white denim ensemble, his dark sunglasses a shield against the frenzy of flashing cameras. The air crackled with electricity as shouts of "Kanye, Kanye!" pierced the afternoon haze. Was this a bold act of solidarity for his embattled friend Diddy, or a calculated performance by a man who thrives on chaos? Ye's 8-minute courthouse cameo, more theatrical flourish than meaningful gesture, set the stage for a day that would unravel the gilded facade of Diddy's empire, exposing a world of excess, power, and alleged criminality. Inside the courthouse, the trial was a pressure cooker of revelations, each more shocking than the last. Prosecutors painted a damning portrait of Diddy as the mastermind of a sprawling criminal enterprise, using his music and fashion empire to orchestrate sex trafficking and racketeering. Day 23 brought a parade of witnesses, from a Homeland Security agent who detailed a raid on Diddy's Los Angeles mansion to a former personal assistant granted immunity to testify against his boss. The evidence was as surreal as it was incriminating. 900 bottles of Astroglide in a garage, a company iPad capturing illicit footage, and firearms with scratched-off serial numbers. As the prosecution neared the end of its case, the trial stood at a crossroads, poised to redefine not only Diddy's legacy, but the boundaries of accountability in the entertainment industry. With Ye's fleeting appearance adding a layer of pop culture intrigue, Day 23 was a microcosm of the trial's intoxicating blend of spectacle and substance. Kanye West's theatrical courthouse appearance. Kanye West, or Ye, has always been a lightning rod for attention, his every move dissected by a public both enthralled and exasperated by his antics. His decision to appear at Diddy's trial, however, was a masterclass in enigmatic provocation. The Maybach's arrival was a statement in itself, a $200,000 chariot that screamed wealth and defiance. Ye emerged like a specter, his all-white outfit, denim jacket, pants, and boots, evoking a futuristic cowboy striding into a modern-day showdown. The dark sunglasses, perched low on his nose, gave him an air of untouchability, as if the chaos swirling around him was merely background noise. Reporters lunged forward, microphones thrust like spears, shouting questions about his support for Diddy. Ye, why are you here?" one called. "Are you standing by Puffy?" another pressed. He offered only a curt nod, his lips sealed, before gliding through the courthouse's glass doors, trailed by a small entourage. The crowd's fervor was palpable, a mix of awe and skepticism. Ye's presence was a jolt of adrenaline in an already high-voltage trial, but it came with a shadow of suspicion. Just one day earlier, a witness had testified about a famous rapper friend of Diddy's allegedly involved in a salacious encounter with a male prostitute in Las Vegas, complete with a private jet and a girlfriend whose birthday fell in January. The details, eerily aligned with Ye's former wife Bianca Censori's January birthday, sparked whispers that he might be the unnamed figure. While no evidence directly implicated him, the coincidence was impossible to ignore. Was Ye's visit a show of loyalty to Diddy, a bid to deflect attention, or simply another chapter in his ongoing performance art? The answer remained elusive, but the timing was uncanny. Inside the courthouse, Ye's star power met the cold reality of protocol. Not on the official family list, he was barred from the main courtroom and directed to the overflow room, a utilitarian space where spectators watched proceedings on monitors. Court staff, reportedly starstruck, reserved several rows for him, a privilege not extended to the average observer or even major media outlets. Yet Ye's commitment to supporting Diddy proved fleeting. After just 8 minutes in the overflow room, he slipped out, his 40-minute courthouse stint ending as abruptly as it began. He never saw the main courtroom, never locked eyes with Diddy, and left behind a trail of unanswered questions. For a man known for grand gestures, his brief appearance felt oddly hollow, a cameo that raised more eyebrows than it offered clarity. The raid on Diddy's Los Angeles mansion, a treasure trove of evidence. While Ye's appearance provided a momentary distraction, the real drama unfolded in the courtroom, where Homeland Security agent Andre Lemon took the stand. His testimony transported jurors to March 25th, when federal agents descended on Diddy's Los Angeles mansion in a raid that felt ripped from a Hollywood blockbuster. Aerial footage played for the jury showed SWAT teams weaving through the estate's manicured gardens, their movements precise against the backdrop of a palatial home that could rival Versailles. The mansion, with its sprawling lawns and opulent interiors, was a testament to Diddy's success as a music mogul, but Lemon's account revealed a darker underbelly. Agents searched 3 buildings: the main house, a gym, and a steam room. In Diddy's bedroom, they found 6 manila envelopes labeled K inside a nightstand, each containing small plastic bags of white powder, later identified as ketamine, a drug often used recreationally. A photograph of Diddy's closet projected in court showed a wall safe holding his passport and a bag of brown particles and pebbles confirmed to be MDMA, ecstasy. The discoveries painted a picture of a lifestyle steeped in excess, but it was the garage that pushed the narrative into surreal territory. Described as a freaky supply room, it housed 32 boxes of Astroglide lubricant, totaling an astonishing 900 bottles, stacked alongside 200 bottles of baby oil. Lemon, who has executed between 50 and 60 search warrants in trafficking cases, testified that this was the first time he had encountered such a quantity of Astroglide, prompting a rare moment of levity when defense attorney Mark Agnifilo quipped, "Yeah, that's what I thought," before the prosecution's objection silenced him. The raid also uncovered a cache of firearms in a security room, including a bolt-action Ruger rifle, 3 Smith & Wesson M&P rifles, a Glock pistol, and a Mossberg pump-action shotgun. Agents found a 60-round drum magazine with body armor-piercing ammunition, a loaded Glock magazine, and a smaller 10-round magazine. Most alarmingly, one rifle had its serial number scratched off, rendering it untraceable, a detail mirrored in the Miami raid of Diddy's properties. Lemon confirmed the weapons were stored in safes inaccessible to children and that Diddy employed private security, but the defaced serial numbers suggested potential illegal activity, bolstering the prosecution's racketeering claims. Jonathan Perez's testimony, a glimpse into Diddy's inner circle. The prosecution's case gained further traction with the testimony of Jonathan Perez, a former personal assistant to Diddy who was granted immunity to testify. Perez, who earned $85,000 a year, later increased to $100,000, offered a chilling window into Diddy's world where the lines between personal and professional were hopelessly blurred. Hired in late 2021 after a trial run in Miami, Perez worked under Christina "KK" Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, alongside a revolving door of assistants, including Phil Pines, Frankie Santella, Joey Chavez, and others. The team, which included a full-time butler named Frank Rodriguez, operated on grueling 12-hour shifts, their lives dictated by Diddy's unpredictable schedule. Perez's testimony centered on his role in organizing King Nights, a term Diddy used for alleged sex parties also known as freak-offs or hotel nights. These events, lasting 12 to 24 hours, required meticulous preparation. Perez described procuring food, drinks, liquor, lights, music, condoms, lube, and even honey, which Diddy reportedly believed enhanced libido. He corroborated the testimony of Jane Doe, a woman who claimed to be a frequent participant in these events and alleged she endured violence from Diddy. Perez identified Jane as one of Diddy's guests, a term the staff used despite her belief that she was his girlfriend, highlighting the dehumanizing dynamics at play. One particularly harrowing incident occurred on June 18, 2024. Perez drove Diddy to Jane Doe's house, carrying in his bags and toiletries. Later, he received a FaceTime call from an angry Diddy who demanded Perez confirm that no other woman had accompanied them on a recent family trip to Utah. Jane, partially off-camera and silent, appeared distressed. This testimony aligned precisely with Jane's earlier account of a violent altercation that day, which she described as the worst day of her life. Text messages shown to the jury further corroborated the tension, including a June 20, 2024, message from Perez requesting $3,500 in cash for his guest, possibly to pay an escort or cover damages from the fight. Perez also admitted to procuring drugs for Diddy, paid for with cash from Fahim Muhammad, the head of security, or from a drawer in Diddy's office. Text messages from February 15, 2024, detailed payments to a drug dealer named Guido, with specific amounts like $3,624.60, underscoring the precision of these transactions. Prosecutors used these details to argue that Diddy's business enterprise, complete with corporate credit cards, cash, and staff, facilitated illegal activities, a cornerstone of the racketeering charge. A disturbing moment came when Perez described finding a video on a company iPad, recorded by Diddy's videographer Brandon. The footage showed Jane Doe engaging in sexual activity with another man, while Diddy was visible in the background, consistent with descriptions of the freak-offs. Perez alerted Diddy, who seemed surprised and later faced intense questioning from KK, who recorded the conversation and implied Diddy believed he had been compromised. The incident underscored the blurred lines between personal and professional, with company devices and staff entangled in Diddy's private affairs. Defense's counterattack, reframing the narrative. During cross-examination, defense attorney Brian Steele sought to reframe Perez's testimony as routine for a celebrity's personal assistant. Perez described Diddy as extremely intelligent and a natural motivator, recalling inspirational messages written on bathroom mirrors in Sharpie and lipstick, such as "You're a legend" and "You an icon, Puff Daddy." He insisted that only 1% of his job involved personal tasks like king nights or drug runs, with 99% focused on business. He portrayed Jane as strong, independent, and confident, and their text exchanges, filled with heart emojis and friendly banter, suggested a cordial relationship. Steele pressed Perez on the nature of his duties, arguing that errands like buying lingerie or cleaning hotel rooms were standard for celebrity assistants. Perez confirmed that celebrities often use aliases or assistants' names for hotel bookings to protect their privacy, a practice he described as commonplace. Text messages between Perez and Jane, dated January 20, 2023, showed her responding with "OMG, stop it, you're amazing and you're the best" when he prepped a king night, suggesting enthusiasm rather than coercion. The defense aimed to paint Diddy's lifestyle as chaotic, but not criminal, with Jane as a willing participant. On redirect, however, prosecutors dismantled this narrative, emphasizing that Perez's personal tasks were part of his paid role within Diddy's enterprise. From booking hotels to buying lube, these duties were orchestrated by KK and funded by company resources, reinforcing the prosecution's argument that Diddy used his business to enable illegal acts. The government's methodical approach, supported by text messages, financial records, and witness testimony, aimed to prove that Diddy's empire was a well-oiled machine for racketeering and sex trafficking. Juror controversy, a threat to the trial's integrity. As the day drew to a close, Judge Subramanian addressed a brewing controversy involving juror number 6, who provided inconsistent information about his residence during jury selection. Initially claiming to live in the Bronx, the juror later admitted to spending most of his time in New Jersey, raising concerns about his eligibility. The judge leaned toward dismissing him, citing the importance of honesty in jury selection, but agreed to reconsider over the weekend after defense attorneys argued that his presence was crucial for diversity on the panel. The dispute underscored the trial's high stakes, where every decision could tip the scales in a case with profound implications. The bigger picture. Diddy's empire on trial. With only 5 witnesses remaining, the prosecution is poised to rest its case next week. Surprisingly, Christina K.K. Coram, Diddy's chief of staff and a central figure in the alleged enterprise, is not expected to testify. Her absence raises questions about whether she's standing firm with Diddy's defense or if prosecutors have shifted their strategy. The trial has already exposed a web of assistants, security personnel, and company resources allegedly used to facilitate Diddy's illicit activities, from drug purchases to sex parties. The prosecution's case hinges on proving that Diddy's actions went beyond personal indulgence, constituting organized crime under RICO statutes. Text messages, financial transactions, and witness accounts paint a picture of a systematic operation, with staff like Perez acting as cogs in a machine that enabled illegal acts. The defense, meanwhile, insists these were personal errands, typical of a celebrity's chaotic lifestyle, and that Jane Doe was a willing participant in the King Nights. Cultural and legal context, a reckoning for power. The trial is more than a legal battle, it's a cultural reckoning. Diddy, born Sean Combs, rose from Harlem streets to become a global icon, founding Bad Boy Records, launching fashion lines like Sean John, and amassing a billion-dollar fortune. His influence shaped hip-hop's golden era, producing hits for artists like Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige. Yet this trial threatens to redefine his legacy, casting him as a predator who exploited his power to manipulate and control. The allegations, sex trafficking, racketeering, coercion, echo the Me Too movement's takedowns of figures like Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, signaling a broader shift toward accountability for the entertainment industry's untouchables. The trial's lurid details, 900 bottles of Astroglide, scratched-off serial numbers, a company iPad with illicit footage, have fueled tabloid headlines, but they also raise profound questions about consent, complicity, and the structures that enable abuse. Jane Doe's testimony, corroborated by Perez, suggests a pattern of coercion, where financial dependence and emotional manipulation allegedly kept her tethered to Diddy's world. The prosecution's focus on Diddy's enterprise, his staff, cash, and corporate resources underscores how wealth and influence can insulate powerful men from consequences until they don't. Ye-Ye's cameo, while a sideshow, encapsulates the trial's surreal intersection of celebrity and scandal. His presence reminded observers of the music industry's tight-knit elite, where loyalty and silence have long been currency. Yet his swift exit suggested a reluctance to be too closely tied to Diddy's sinking ship, a metaphor for the broader industry's reckoning with its own complicity. Societal impact. Redefining accountability. The trial's outcome will reverberate beyond the courtroom. A conviction could embolden prosecutors to target other high-profile figures, signaling that no one is above the law. An acquittal, however, might reinforce perceptions of untouchability, undermining trust in justice systems already strained by inequality. For survivors of abuse, the trial is a litmus test. Will the legal system prioritize their voices, or will power and fame prevail? The case also sparks broader conversations about hip-hop's relationship with power and accountability. Diddy's empire, built on black excellence and resilience, now faces scrutiny for allegedly perpetuating harm. The trial forces the industry to confront uncomfortable truths about how success can mask exploitation, challenging fans and artists alike to rethink their idols. Looking ahead, the trial's final act. As the prosecution prepares to rest, the defense is expected to mount a vigorous counteroffensive, likely calling witnesses to humanize Diddy and challenge Jane Doe's credibility. The absence of K.K. Coram from the witness list remains a wild card, her silence a potential shield for Diddy or a sign of her own legal peril. The juror controversy, while a procedural hiccup, underscores the trial's fragility, where any misstep could derail months of testimony. The evidence, text messages, financial records, raided mansions, paints a damning picture, but the jury's interpretation will hinge on intangibles: sympathy for Diddy's rags-to-riches story, skepticism of Jane Doe's motives, or outrage at the scale of alleged abuse. The RICO charge, with its focus on an organized enterprise, is a high bar, requiring jurors to see Diddy not as a flawed individual, but as a criminal mastermind. Day 23 was a microcosm of the trial's complexity. Ye's fleeting star power, a mansion-turned-crime scene, a whistleblower assistant, and a juror's deception. As the case nears its climax, the world watches, waiting to see if Diddy's empire will stand or fall. The verdict will not only determine his fate, but also mark a pivotal moment in the quest for justice in an industry long shielded by fame.